All right, let's dive right into today's explainer. We're unpacking this fascinating, genuinely profound thought experiment from a text called The 25th Flash, specifically the Treatise for the Sick. We're going to explore a topic that hits literally all of us: justice, fairness, and how we actually view our own bodies. It's a real perspective shifter, and I am super excited to break this all down with you today. So, starting off with section 1, a very difficult question. You look around the world and you're immediately hit with these stark, impossible to ignore realities. The source text brings up a question from a young person that has honestly echoed throughout human history. Think about it. One person has perfect vision, another is completely blind. One person just casually walks down the street, another literally cannot. You've got one individual born with this vibrant, robust health, while another spends every single day battling a serious illness. I mean, these aren't just abstract ideas, right? These are the real, lived realities of people all over the world. And that naturally brings us to ask, how on earth is that fair? It's a completely human reaction to see those disparities and feel, well, a deep sense of wrongness. It's not a silly question at all. When we see someone suffering while somebody else is just coasting along, our internal scales of justice kind of freak out. And let's be real, throwing out a cliche like, well, everything happens for a reason, it's not satisfying. It doesn't heal the pain, and it definitely doesn't solve the philosophical puzzle. So we really need to dig deeper.
Which leads us straight into section 2. What is justice, really?
Before we can decide if biology or the universe is acting unfairly, we kind of need to nail down our baseline for fairness. The text sets up this incredibly relatable everyday scenario. So walk through this with me. Imagine two people working for the exact same boss. Over a grueling day, both of these workers carry 100 heavy boxes. Picture the sweat, the exhaustion, the absolute identical amount of back-breaking labor they are putting in, right side by side. Okay, end of the day arrives. Payday. One worker gets 1,000 euros for their hard work. The other worker? They get 500. Let that sink in for a second. Exact same work, completely different pay. Right away, your gut probably recoils. It triggers this innate alarm bell of injustice. We can universally look at that and say, yeah, that is incredibly unfair. And the reason it feels so wrong comes down to this core concept of a contractual right. The scenario is unjust because both workers earned a comparable right through their labor. They put in the exact same effort, which means they are completely entitled to the exact same reward based on their agreement. When that earned right gets violated, justice is broken. That's our standard everyday framework for fairness. All right, section 3, rights versus gifts. Now, we are going to completely flip that baseline assumption on its head. We're shifting gears from rights to gifts. The source text brings in this brilliant contrasting analogy to totally disrupt how we view entitlement. Imagine a totally different scene. A super wealthy stranger is just walking down a busy street, and out of nowhere he starts handing out his own money, just giving it away. He walks up to one random person, gives him 50 euros, goes to another, hands him 100, then gives 200 to someone else entirely. Okay, now imagine you're the person who got the 50 euros. You look over at the guy who just scored 200, you march right up to the wealthy stranger and you start yelling, "Excuse me, you only gave me 50. You owe me another 150. I mean, think about how ridiculous that sounds. Imagine throwing a tantrum and acting entitled over free money you did absolutely nothing to earn. The stranger's response would be simple, and it completely shatters that illusion of debt. He'd probably just look at you and ask, based on what contract, right? Like, where is the agreement that says I owe you a single cent? You didn't carry 100 heavy boxes for me. You didn't do any work. I don't owe you equal treatment because honestly, I didn't even owe you that first 50 euros to begin with." And this brilliantly illustrates our next core definition: a gift. A gift is something freely given. It was never ours by ownership in the first place. This distinction is absolutely vital for the rest of our explainer. See, with earned rights, unequal treatment is a massive injustice. But with pure, unearned gifts, that whole concept of being shortchanged just evaporates. You literally cannot be unfairly deprived of something you never actually owned. Moving on to section 4, changing the question.
This is where things get really interesting. We're taking that wealthy stranger logic and applying it on a massive biological scale to our own bodies. Let's look at what we actually have. Think about your body right now. You've got 2 ears. Did you earn them? Did you sign a contract for them before you were born? You have 1 nose. You definitely didn't put in hours of grueling labor to buy it. You have a brain. eyes, a beating heart. The source text makes this point that's so simple but just deeply profound. We never ordered these parts. We didn't stroll into some cosmic restaurant and say, yeah, I'll take 2 ears, 1 nose, and throw in a brain while you're at it. We didn't manufacture our eyes in a lab. We didn't buy our hearts. We just woke up into existence and found all these incredible things already given to us.
Now, let's pause here for a second because this is so important. Viewing the body as a gift does absolutely not mean human suffering is insignificant, not at all. Illness, disability, they involve enormous, very real pain. The source text isn't dismissing the tears or the intense physical agony of living with a serious illness. The empathy for that very real human suffering remains 100% intact. The question the 25th Flash is asking is strictly philosophical. Are we dealing with faculties that were manufactured by you, or are they simply used by you? The argument here is that your body and its abilities aren't things you created. You use them every single day for sure, but you didn't make them. So the thought experiment asks, is a disability taking away a right you produced, or is it a variation in a gift that was never actually yours by ownership? If it's a gift, well, the rules of the wealthy stranger apply. Plus, the text zooms out to a much broader timeline. If we only look at our present decades, our quick little blip of time on this earth, our view of justice is super limited. It's kind of like trying to judge an entire feature-length movie by watching a 3-second clip. The text suggests that if life doesn't end with this world, the full scope of justice might not be visible inside these few decades. True justice might actually unfold on a much larger timeline, beyond this world.
When we operate under this illusion of contractual rights, we get trapped. We get stuck asking this bitter question: why wasn't I given what someone else has? That's the mindset of pure entitlement. It's exactly like that bystander yelling at the wealthy stranger for more free money. And honestly, it just leads to bitterness, frustration, and this heavy feeling of cosmic injustice.
But the ultimate takeaway from the 25th Flash is this massive paradigm shift. If our bodies, our health, our abilities are unearned gifts rather than manufactured rights, the entire question transforms. It goes from, why wasn't I given what someone else has, to this incredibly powerful alternative, what am I doing with what I have been given? It shifts everything from entitled ownership to mindful stewardship. So what are you doing with your gifts? I'll leave you with that provocative thought today. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this thought experiment shifts your perspective as much as it did mine.